Hello.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Good. We got Jim Lester.
Yes, we can hear you.
We got Big Kendall. Got Miss Brianka. We got Leon Lane. Good. We're gonna wait like we're gonna wait one more minute. And then we're gonna have Jim, you want to lead us in the prayer today? I've never heard you pray before.
I don't pray. Not good at it.
Okay. Yeah, he does pray. He's just not good at it. Okay. Let me one second. I'll do this one. So let's bow our heads and God, thank you for everything. Help us have a great sales meeting. Bless all our agents. Forgive us our sins and help us have a great sales meeting and have a fantastic week. Amen.
Amen.
Now we got Sam. Sam decided to put his camera on. How nice, Sam. That is so nice of you. Like, I thought maybe your camera was broken because it was never on. That is so nice of you, Sam. Let me just repeat it one more time. That is so nice of you.
It was broken. I got it fixed. I got my hair cut, so now we're good.
Okay. Good. Well, Joe, we're gonna start off with Big Joe. Tell us what's going on. Oh, I want to tell you too. I'm going to send you guys a slide. But in market share, everyone else is up like so far this year. They might be up like 15%. Okay. Guess how much we're up in market share this year, Jim? Compared to everybody. Actually, Cole Banker and Keller Williams are up about 15%. Everyone else is like either down or break even. Guess how much you were up, Jim?
27.
37. So that's because we have the most productive agents. So I just want to thank you guys for that.
Ain't nobody that should be down. I mean, now as good as the market is and stuff, good.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? With so little inventory, but you know, our agents are hustling out there. And so I just want to thank you guys. We have everyone else. Like I said, our two other competitors, their market share is only up like 15%. They're pretty even. One's 15%, the other one's 17%, and we're like 37. So this year, so we're doing good. With that being said, we're gonna have one of our fearless leaders here, Joe. Give us the breakdown of what's going on, man. Tell me some good news. I told you.
Wish I had some this morning.
Positive news. No, like Debbie Downer stuff today. Yeah, I'm teasing.
So I got good news and bad news. Good news is rates are still incredibly low, historically speaking. The bad news is they are on the rise, and they are on the rise with a vengeance. A rapid increase in rates.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. So on the back end, what we've seen over the last 2 days is a 200 basis point increase. And so what that means for your average borrower, that 2.25% VA rate last week that cost nothing, that now costs 2 points, which is equivalent to 2% of the loan amount. So if they're buying a $200,000 home, to get that 2.25% rate today now costs them an additional $4,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Wait a second. So let's not. What about if they don't want to pay that $4,000? Do they have to pay like the difference? What you'd say?
Well, then we adjust the rate. So rates work in a window. Okay. So there's the average prime offer rate, that is with no points. When you go above the average prime offer rate, that generates a lender credit towards closing costs. When you go below the average prime offer rate, then what that does is it costs discount points.
Yeah.
So there's that scale in there. Right now, the prime rate went from 2.25% last week to right now on a VA loan, you're looking at about 2 point. It's sitting right on the floor of 2.49, 2.75. So, you know, a single point in your credit score could cause that borrower to be a 2.49 or a 2.75. It's that sensitive right now. So, looking at that increase in rates. So like I said, VA 2.49 to 2.75, kind of depending on credit score, down payment, loan to value. There's a lot of factors that go in there. Conventional loans are sitting there between like 2.99 and 3.125. Whereas, last week, I had conventional loans at 2.75. FHA loans sitting at right around 2.75. Generally, those are lower credit score borrowers. I've already factored that in. If they're excellent credit, one, I don't know why they'd be going FHA. But two, the rates are better. They're more in line.
Let me ask you a question. I just with like VA loans, I just thought like the financing it was easier to get them and you didn't have to put like any money down. But I didn't realize there's such a difference in the interest rate between a VA loan and
So government insured loans, your FHA, VA loans are always going to be a lower rate than conventional loans, especially they're less sensitive to credit score. And the reason is the government insures us, the lender, on that loan. So it makes it a safer loan product for the lender.
Let me jump in for a second, Joe, if you don't mind. I was working a deal, lost it the other day for in competition, but $275,000 home. Working with Joe on it for a conventional loan, and Joe's gonna cover that in a minute in the new bulletin. With 15% down payment on the loan, on a conventional loan, the buyer had to put $41,000 down, I believe it was. And the funny thing is, nothing down on a VA loan with a little bit lower interest rates, VA, a little bit higher conventional. PMI was conventional, and the funny thing was, with $41,000 down, the payments were like less than $100 difference between that conventional loan with $41,000 down versus VA loan. Wake up!
Yeah, that's a big deal. You're right. It's like the interest rates are so low right now that it's like it's amazing. In fact, speaking of that, we changed that. Then I want to go back to you here, Joe. But we're using that for we don't call it prospecting anymore because that intimidates people. So we call it at 11 fun conversations with our clients. But anyways, Kendall just by doing the fun conversations with his sphere called two people. Told them about the interest rates, and now Kendall, you have what, like two pre-approved buyers at $500K?
Yes, sir.
Look,
I just have to find the homes now.
and then good. So that's just the power of calling like your sphere. And then last night we did fun conversations with our clients. It was kind of funny because this is why you got to role play. So. Actually, John DeSirios did it with us, and he ended up getting like a good. John, tell him about the one you got.
Yeah, so called yesterday, and the guy they have two properties apparently. So he has one that he's definitely thinking about getting refinanced, and then he has another home that his mom's living in. Of course, she's not in the best of health, so they're thinking about getting her out and then putting that on the market. So. Kind of got him to hopefully refinance his current mortgage now and then list that other property he has once his mom, to kind of move her out. So,
so that's good. That's just the benefit of just calling your sphere. We're not even asking you to like cold call. But Joe, it was funny because John is like calling. He doesn't want to go off the script. And he sounds like he's selling mortgages. Like, dude, you're not a mortgage salesperson, man. Like you just tell them that piece of information and give Sam their phone number. Like you're not a mortgage, but anyways. But the other
I don't use a script. I've never used the script.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it was funny because then we're cold call. So we had like Leonard. He's one of our new agents. So he called his sphere, and the people actually said, "Man, I'd love to refinance, but I'm looking for a house right now. Can you help me?" And Leonard just froze up. He didn't know what to say next. It was the funniest thing ever. Like I was like, "You just froze up, right, Chef?" Yeah. And he froze.
Starting out can be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's all
Eventually, it
good.
just becomes part of your DNA.
Yeah, like so it's nothing. The best of us, no one starts off well on the phone. So we've been having a lot of success with that. But we're going to talk a little bit about. We're supposed to have the best accountant CPA with us today this morning, Mr. Pierce. He'll help you set up your S corp for free.
She said she's gonna call him once they're done with
All
whatever.
right, guys, put your phone on mute.
Um,
Uh,
I think that's John. John needs to put his phone on mute.
John, put your phone on mute. Can we mute Katie? Can you mute him? We're good. But anyways, what's one of the? So we're gonna go today over Joe. I'm gonna go back to you, to Joe. Finish. Like, what else you have to say before we get?
Yeah. So another news. So recently, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae's been this way for a while, but Freddie Mac on their home possible mortgages, home ready mortgages. So basically, your first time home buyers, they now on a multi-unit property require 15% down. They no longer finance 3, 5, or 10% down. So if it has more than a single unit, that down payment is increasing substantially. Part of that is because of the forbearance, the CARES Act, the eviction moratorium. It's putting those borrowers at higher risk. And so in order to offset that risk, they're requiring a higher equity stake in the property. So, I mean, it's all understandable when you look at the background, but understand if it's a multi-unit property, more than a single unit, single family home, condo, whatever, they're going to expect more money down, more in reserves, and it is looked at a higher risk threshold. So it's not for every buyer out there.
Yeah, that's terrible because the advantage of that, Leon, can you hear me? Leon Lane? The advantage of that was before, like a veteran could buy a quad and like a 4 unit, and it was basically treated like a single family. You didn't have to, you barely had to put any money down.
We can still do that on VA.
Okay, good. That's
VA
good.
hasn't changed, just the conventional loans.
Okay, perfect. Good.
FHA too, you can still do it on FHA.
FHA, we can still do 96.5, but they are going to expect reserves.
And then also you're going to have that PMI in there forever, right? Underneath.
That's correct. And so the other thing, Alex, as I was telling you yesterday, I had a long call with Scott Murphy. So Scott Murphy is the chief appraiser on the panel for the board of Georgia. So every appraiser in the state of Georgia, Scott Murphy is who signs off on their license. He is the licensing authority for our state.
Wow, okay.
So I had a long conversation with him yesterday, about an hour. A lot of insight into what they're seeing in the market, and he has a lot of concerns, rightfully so. So, one of the things he talked about is he just appraised a property that went on the market this weekend, had 65 showings. So it went listed on Friday. By Monday morning, it had 65 showings and 51 offers.
Yeah.
One property. So the demand is there. It's pushing prices up. Good appraisers are doing the best they can. They're doing time adjustments.
Mhm.
So some of the things that he talked about, though, he told me, if you get a low appraisal, agents are the #1 culprit for low appraisals. He said, basically it's the agent's fault. And the reason why he's saying that is right now they're seeing 25 to 30% of the purchase and sell transactions not being input into MLS. There's a lot of agents doing hip pocket listings. They're not exposing the property. They have a buyer, they have a seller, they line them up, they write a contract. It never goes into MLS. And what he said is, it's not that they can't utilize those properties as comps. The issue is, in order to utilize those listings as comps, he has to be able to clearly identify that the property was accurately exposed to the market. Which, how do you do that if it was never listed? It was never a sell sign. That it's an arm's length transaction, which means son isn't buying it from mom and dad.
Yeah.
And 2 is, how can they determine the value of that property to justify the purchase and sell price without any MLS photos? They don't know what the condition and quality of that property is. So with 25 to 30% of the properties in the market right now, these transactions that are happening that are not in MLS, those properties cannot be used as comps, which is in turn hurting our value because they're having a hard time finding comps. And so what they're having to do is they're having to go further in radius to find suitable comps because so few properties are selling right now. They're having to go further in radius, and then they're going to have to go further back in time. So some of these comps, in order to find a comp, he's having to go back 6-9 months to find a suitable comparable property, and then trying to make time adjustments which don't accurately dictate the current market conditions. So he said, if you talk to your agents, the one thing, even if they do have a buyer and a seller lined up, at least put it in the MLS, at least put photos of the interior, exterior of the property. So that way, he said, there is a cost. Obviously, there's a cost involved with putting it on the MLS. But by not doing that, you're hurting future transactions, which you may or may not be involved in. So it's essential that they go in the MLS, even if you have people lined up, so that way they can utilize that as comparables for other sales.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you a quick question. I remember where you used to, if that happened, you could still put it in the system as a non-MLS sale with the information. Are they able to still use those comps?
Yes, they can. It depends on your board, though. So each listing board has different rules. Here in Atlanta, they're a little more strict about that. So you'd have to consult with your MLS and your board. Here, they won't allow, like, we write a pocket listing and then I want to post the data later in MLS. They won't allow that later. But I do, even though I have a buyer and seller, I could not do a single showing, but I at least need to post it live available in the MLS for one day before we accept that contract. So that way they can say it was accurately exposed and they have the conditional data. Some of the other things that he talked about too was like this appreciation adjustment for time. The way they're able to mathematically justify those appreciation adjustments for time is based on the sales that are recorded in MLS. So if the sales aren't being recorded in MLS, that appreciation adjustment gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's another reason they're really big on that. The other thing he said is you guys got to keep in mind, just like us lenders, just like you guys out there as agents, right now, appraisers are doing about 200% of their normal volume. They're doing 2 times the amount of work that they would normally do. It's difficult. They're doing the best they can to try to manage a reasonable turn time of 14 to 17 days. But, agents are kind of their own victim by demanding these short appraisal turn times to win a deal. I've seen agents write, appraisal contingency turn times of like 5 days, which is just completely unrealistic. The appraisers are trying to accommodate, but now they're rushing, which means you're going to get a rush appraisal, which is going to be a poor quality appraisal, and then throw a fit when the value comes in low. So don't be your own worst enemy, The other thing that he's talked about was you got to be smart when the lender orders that appraisal. So know your market, know what pendings, and know what those closing dates are. They cannot use a pending sale until it closes. So if you know the house across the street, you need that as a comparable to justify your value. Let us know, the lender, so we don't order that appraisal, or we put that appraisal on hold until the day after that property closes. So that way they can use that property as a comparable. Once the appraiser goes to the property, that's the effective date of the appraisal. So if it didn't close that date or before that date, they cannot use it as a comparable sale. So help us help you on the appraisals. And let's see what else he talked about. Drive-by desktops. We try our best to prohibit those unless there's some reason that just exceeds the amount of reasonable risk that an appraiser should take. Unless somebody living in the house has COVID, we're going to do a standard appraisal. We try to avoid desktops at all possibility, but a lot of lenders are really pushing the desktops because the appraisers can crank multiple appraisals out Problem is you're going to get a much lower quality appraisal. They're really sloppy. They're done quickly. So just be cognizant of that. If you're having value issues, a lot of times it's because it was a desktop appraisal. It would be almost impossible unless you're an appraisal expert to know the difference between a desktop appraisal and a standard appraisal. So if you get one that's odd, let me know. I'd be more than happy to take a look at it for you. And the last thing that he said is, our appraisers are super busy. They're crazy busy. So help them. You can't influence their opinion of value, but prior to them showing up, you can have the owners of the home go in and open all exterior doors. That saves them time. They're able to get in and out of the property fairly quick. They're able to get good quality photos. Have them turn on the lights, have them open up the doors before the appraiser shows up. If you have comps available, provide the appraiser the comps that you use to market and list the property. You should have done that as part before you listed the property, is pulled your comps. Provide those to the appraiser, a single sheet with your comps. That's going to save them some time, some admin time, digging around and trying to find comparable properties. So those are all the things that we can help them. Like you said, though, right now, we're kind of our own worst enemy. We're doing this to ourselves, and then we throw a fit and we want to appeal appraisals because we don't agree with the value, but we kind of set ourselves up for it. So just some insight into the wild world of appraisals. Hopefully you got something out of it. I know it was very engaging for me, that conversation. We talked about seeing more and more properties come back with repairs. A lot of that's because the proper due diligence is not being done by the sellers prior to marketing the property. Back in the day when your property had sit on the market for 4 months, there was a lot of diligence paid into doing repairs and updates and everything prior to listing. Nowadays, it's like, I want to sell, I throw a sign in the yard, I'm going to have multiple offers. Who cares? We'll deal with the repairs later down the road. And that is creating additional work on the appraisers, because not only are they having to identify those repairs, but then they're going to have to come back out and re-inspect them. So we're adding additional work on top of people that are already way overworked. So if you can, try to address those obvious repairs, chipping, peeling paint, cracked windows, missing or loose handrails, basic health and safe standards. Try to address them before the appraiser goes out. One, it's going to save your client $150 trip fee. Two, it's going to save that appraiser a lot of time having to come back out to that property when he could be out appraising another property.
Good. So the bullet points for him was houses they're having a hard time appraising because people are not putting in an MLS, and because they're not putting in MLS, he doesn't know what the latest comps are, and also because they're not putting in MLS, he can't see the condition of the house. So okay.
And also
It's complex.
Repairs, like broken windows, so you don't have to. You can save the $150 fee. Tidying up loose rails. That was a good point, Joe. That can save you $150 on a re-inspect.
And time, and possibly a delay in your closing.
Good. So now we're going to talk about we were supposed to have our accountant today, but he has COVID. But Mr. Pierce is going to come back at a later date. But he's Mr. Pierce used to be in charge of this. He was
this is Sam.
Okay, Sam, mute yourself, Sam.
Hello, this is Sam.
Sam, mute yourself. Okay. Hey, so
With who?
Katie is gonna have to do it. He's on the phone.
Yeah, Katie.
I'm well. How are you?
Okay, let me tell him to take it tell him to take it somewhere else. Shut.
Let's listen to him take a nap.
Yeah, that's good. Ooh, that's funny. Now Chef's gonna tell him to move.
Sorry, guys.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Now you figured
Sorry,
out.
I had a call come in. What was the question?
Nothing. Just mute yourself. Sam.
Okay.
Okay, good. Hey, now
Can I do this?
yeah, this is now we want to see you. This is like the Century 21 version of the movie Stripes today. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie. It's about these really like pathetic, like army guys that are terrible. Anyways, but we're gonna talk. So Mr. Pierce, what made Mr. Pierce awesome is that what makes him awesome is that he used to be in charge of the IRS for South Georgia. And if you go ahead and call him, he'll help you set up an S corp. And an S corp is worth about, that usually takes about $1,500 to $2,000 expense, but he'll do it for free. But Joe, I want to keep seeing you too because I'm going to need your help here for a second.
Yeah, I can walk you through.
Yeah. No, so one of the best things about Joe, let me see who Kendall. One of the best things about Joe is because he's like a mortgage lender, he gets to see a lot of people's like financial info. So he deals with a lot of millionaires. He deals with a lot of, you've done basketball players, football players, just about everybody, right? So today, of course, we're going to be talking about how to save, some things realtors can do to save money on their taxes and financial planning and that kind of thing. So I want to give like your explanation of the S corp and how important that is for a realtor to have it, Joe.
Yeah, so right now, all you guys are 1099 employees. So you're subcontractors. You're basically considered, for all intents and purposes, you're considered self-employed. And typically the way your CPA is going to do your taxes is they're going to file a standard Schedule C sole proprietorship. They're going to take your gross 1099 income, and then there's certain things that you'll be able to write off. You're going to be able to write off mileage. You're going to be able to write off home office expenses, advertising, meals and entertainment, travel, depreciation. They're going to do, a good CPA is going to do their best job possible to reduce your tax liability, to reduce your taxable income. Okay. And so if you made $100,000 as a real estate agent this year in sales, they're going to go through and they're going to deduct mileage. They're going to go through in meals and entertainment and your cell phone and licensing and continuing education. And I mean, they're going to sit there and they're going to whittle that thing down as far as they can get it and get you down in that $30,000 tax bracket. Reason why I use 30,000, if you look at what the IRS tracks, the average real estate agent makes about $30,000 a year, according to the IRS. I know better than that. So they whittle it all down. At the end of the day, you tell the IRS that you made $30,000. You're going to pay taxes based on that tax bracket, which is going to be minimal, considering if you had to pay taxes like me, a W-2 employee, on the full $100,000. So you're going to pay half the taxes I do. It's a great benefit for you. Bad thing is when you try to purchase a home, I have to qualify you on that $30,000 that you told the IRS.
Yeah.
That's what you really made.
Well, the issue to tell them about this, Shepherd, explain to them, you don't you pay yourself a salary of like 30,000. And then talk about the dividend part. And then the rest of it, then after everything above 30,000, you don't have to pay the self-employment tax.
Yeah. So the other option is when you get big enough as an agent, you're doing enough business to justify it. You could look at forming a couple different things. You could look at turning your sole proprietorship into a 1065 partnership. Let's say you and another agent. Typically, I see it with husband and wife combos. They'll form a 1065, which is a partnership, or they'll form an 1120S, which is a corporation. So when you form a corporation, Century 21 no longer provides you, an independent contractor, a 1099. They pay your corporation. Your corporation then in turn pays taxes on the income it receives and distributes that and withholds income. It withholds your taxes and provides you a W-2. So let's say you were making $100,000 a year as an independent agent. You formed yourself a corporation. You can put your auto in that corporation. You could put all your meals and entertainment in that corporation. You could put all your business expenses, are not your personal business expenses, but they're the corporation's expenses. And then you set yourself a salary, withhold taxes on yourself, and pay yourself a W-2. So that's your baseline income. And then at the end of the year, based on your corporation's profitability or loss, you'll get a K-1 distribution at the end of the year. And so if you have a really good year, you're going to get a positive K-1, adds on top of your income. It's non-taxable. You'll pay the taxes, to the tax man like you do on your 1099 income. But corporate tax rates and personal tax rates are different, which is why there's some of the advantages. You got to hit certain thresholds. You need to sit down with the CPA because tax codes change daily. But honestly, you need to be in that above $100,000 income mark to make it justify being worth forming a S corporation or a partnership.
Well, we'll see. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, Shep and me, like, and this is what Mr. Pierce will do. Shep, you can jump in here too. But like, I know, like Daniel Jones, he pays himself $30,000 a year. Okay, like clockwork. That means that everything above 30,000 is not paying. He's not paying self-employment taxes,
15%.
which is 15%.
Saves 15% by paying dividends instead of a salary. So what you
Right.
do is you pay yourself a salary, and then the rest you pay in dividends, and you pay 15% less on those dividends. That's basically what it amounts to. So it does
Because you're paying at the corporate tax rate on
Exactly.
that.
So
That's why you have to be in excess of those thresholds, depending on how much you're going to W-2 yourself.
Yeah.
It needs to be a substantial threshold there to justify really that corporation. The bad news is, just like on the Schedule C, though, we're going to qualify you on your W-2 income, and then we're going to average 2 years of your K-1 income.
Yeah.
If that K-1 income is a loss, because you're sole owner of that corporation, that loss does deduct from your personal income.
Jed, put yourself on mute. But anyways, like, that's the idea. Mr. Pierce, he'll set up an S corp for any of you guys for free. But he's a great tool. And Daniel Jones, if you make like 100,000 a year, you'll save about 15 grand on self-employment taxes. That just at the 100,000 mark. So imagine what if you make more than 100, what you'll be saving.
makes a difference.
So we got that. Then what's like the other thing I want to talk about, guys, is like real estate depreciation. This is like you got to tell your clients about this for investment and for yourself too. Basically, any kind of real estate, not only can you write off all the expenses on it, but you can write off the depreciation on it. Okay, the depreciation. Let's say you have a investment property. Investment property could just mean your primary house that you lived in, and now you bought another house, and so your primary house now is like it's a investment property. Well, anyways, that loan on it, you can, let's say it was 200,000, you can depreciate that about 3.6% a year. So you'll be saving just on that house. You're saving $7,200 a year as a write-off. All the expenses on it are any kind of roof repair, any write-offs, taxes, insurances. So it's a huge thing. I'll give you like Joe, this is kind of interesting. So Shep owns like this like apartment complex. He's part owner in this apartment complex. I think he's paying like the taxable rate of like someone that works like 1 hour a month or something. I'm teasing, but all the depreciation from that apartment complex, all the repairs, everything gets written off. So that's huge. What are some of the other ways you're seeing people like Joe, you're seeing people try to, good deductions for realtors, or what are some other ways you're seeing some of your more savvy clients?
So, I mean, it kind of depends. So if you're looking to purchase a home in the near future or refinance, your write-offs, the way underwriting looks at write-offs and add backs, is they look at, is there a true out-of-pocket expense. So in the situation you just gave me, depreciation, if a property depreciates, is there a true out-of-pocket expense? No. So guess what? That $50,000 in depreciation that you didn't pay taxes on, we can add that back into your income. But repairs of $50,000, there was a true out-of-pocket expense, and so it's deducted dollar from dollar for your income. Same thing with mileage. Write off as much mileage as you can get away with, because guess what? Mileage, there is no dollar amount associated with mileage. You know what I'm saying? Now there are costs, fuel and maintenance, but that's not what you're writing off. You're not writing off fuel. You're not writing off maintenance. You're writing off mileage. So there is no out-of-pocket expense for miles. Therefore, we can add that back. Things to stay away from: meals and entertainment. So meals and entertainment are a death blow, because you can only write off 50% of your actual expense. And so if you write off that you spent $2,000 on meals and entertainment, the underwriter is going to double that and deduct it from your income, because you can only write off 50%. So your actual out-of-pocket expense was really $4,000, and that's what gets deducted dollar from your income. So the biggest thing that I see people get away with is those add backs, depreciation, mileage. Those are write-offs that are home office. You're going to have to maintain your home office, whether you're using it as a home office or not using it as a home office. Your expenses remain the same. There's no true out-of-pocket expense. So if you write off $8,000 in home office expenses, you can add that back in, because you would have still had to maintain that square footage in your home no matter what. So that's just kind of how they looked at it.
Yeah, but make sure to write off the home office. That's the number one thing, one of the number one things that triggers an audit. So make sure it's really like a home office. I had a friend of mine, he got audited, and so the IRS person shows up there, and he had like a what's that story? What do you call it? Like what do you press your clothes on top of?
Oh,
An ironing board.
Yeah, he had an ironing board in there, and they disqualified him for it.
Yeah, I mean, they will audit you. I mean, if you do it the right way, you have nothing to worry about. And so what you do is you measure the square footage of the room. It has to be dedicated 100% of the time. So you can't write off the kitchen table that you work at, the dining area, because you have a laptop there. Like me, I have my own office. That office is, 1/20th of the total square footage of my home, and therefore I'm able to write off 1/20th of my utility bills, 1/20th of my mortgage payment, 1/20th. So because of the square footage of that room comparative to the entire house, and my office is dedicated solely to me working, and so you guys always see me in the same office. You do have to spend a majority of your time in that home office. I can easily document that I spend a majority of my time in here. You guys could do the same. You could certify it. Yes, Joe's always in that office. So, but those are the keys. If you're going to write off a home office, you do have to know the rules. You do have to follow the rules. Odds are you will get audited, but as long as you're doing everything the right way, you have nothing to worry about with that audit.
Hey, Joe, I have a question. That's a very important point you made. So you're saying, let's say you can drive 20,000 miles a year, 55 cents a mile, you can write off 11,000. You're saying though, if I made 50,000, you would actually add that 11,000 back on top of the 51,000.
If you told the IRS that so what happens is you take your gross income. Let's say you made 50,000, then you deducted $10,000 in mileage.
Right.
Right. And so you told the IRS that in reality you only made 40,000. You pay taxes on 40,000 at the 10%.
Right. Right.
When we go to underwriting, what underwriting is going to do is they're going to take that 40,000, add the 10,000 back in for mileage, so your qualifying income is 50,000.
That's important. I did not realize that.
It is very important.
Yeah.
And that's what kills most self-employed borrowers, which is why I'll never give a letter for a self-employed borrower until I have tax returns.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, anytime I ask a self-employed borrower what they make, what they tell me, and what the tax returns show, generally the tax returns are on average about 50% less than what they state, because they tell me their gross income I made $100,000 last year, then I get the tax returns, and after all their write-offs, their qualifying income is about 50,000, about half.
So basically, Joe, you're saying the best deductions for a self-employed realtor are mileage, the worst are entertainment because you double those.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's important to know. That is.
Absolutely.
Good point. Carrie Glenn, if you guys need a good tax repair, Carrie Glenn is also very good. Carrie, tell them about that 7202 that you were telling me about. Carrie Glenn.
Hello, the 7202 is basically a
Yeah, you speak a little bit louder because I know I got you. But when you file your taxes, this is a very important one for you guys to do. Carrie, speak loud and tell them what it is, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, the 7202 basically is a deduction for self-employed individuals. Basically, all it is, if anyone had suffered from COVID last year, or a dependent or anyone under the age of 18, what it does is you file that form and it pays you as if you were employed somewhere and you receive like sick leave and paid sick leave. Actually, what it is, it can go up to 50 days. It really helps. That's just something new on the tax bracket for this year, and that's all it is. However, there is some confusion with some people that are self-employed and they have a W-2 from a paid employee. That kind of makes it a kind of get on the debacle there with it, but it's pretty simple. If anyone needs a form, I'll be glad to email it to them if they're, self-preparing their own taxes and all.
Good. Deborah Wright says she needs one, Carrie. She's raising her hand. So, and Carrie's a very knowledgeable tax preparer too. So, but I think I want to keep these things short, like 45 minutes. Actually, I want to try to see, Shep, if we can start doing these in 30.
Alex, and so I'll just tell you, I just pulled it up real quick. So let's say you made $100,000 last year as a corporation, your tax rate would have been 21%. If you made $100,000 as an individual, your tax rate would have been 24%. So that $100,000 threshold still applies for partnerships, corporations. So if your gross earnings before adjustments is more than 100,000, you should probably be looking at a partnership or a corporation to put your business in.
Good. I mean, you still don't have to, after your salary though, after your basic salary, like that you're paying yourself $30,000 a year, you still don't have to pay self-employment taxes above that.
No, your corporation withholds those taxes.
Yeah, and then you pay yourself in dividends. So okay.
Deborah, I think has a question.
Yeah.
You gotta
Deborah,
unmute.
can't hear
Deborah.
you.
There you go.
Okay. So like if you don't have a partner and you're making over 100,000, then what's the best way to get your taxes lower?
Corporation.
Yeah.
S corporation, is that what you said a minute ago?
Yeah,
yep, S corp.
Talk to Mr. Pierce.
Not an LLC.
We'll send out his information. He's got COVID or maybe Carrie, but he'll set up and you'll save a lot of money. So we're good, guys. That's all we got. One more tax tip, Shep. You give in and we're closing this meeting.
One more tax tip. I sent out a little sheet to everybody, the 101 real estate agent deductions. Go over that because when you file your taxes the next couple of weeks, make sure you're not missing anything. So we set that out for your review.
And like I said, guys, Carrie's actually at his tax office right now, right, Carrie? Yeah. So he can help you guys a lot too. Deborah, I'll text you his contact info. You can call him after, okay?
Thank you.
And me and Sam have the what they call, well, actually they call it SAM, not Sam, our loan officer, but it's called the SAM method, which is how they calculate income. And so we have those worksheets on an Excel file. So if you're interested, just email us. We'll send it over. You can plug in your own numbers. I've worked with numerous agents that want to buy a home or self-employed borrowers that want to buy a home. and they need to figure out, okay, what am I going to write off? What am I not going to write off that next year so I can get into this price point? We can help you with that. Just let us know.
Perfect.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, guys, we're gonna let you guys go. We're gonna try to reduce the time on these calls to be more efficient. So I want you guys, next one, we're probably gonna do like in 35 minutes, but I want you guys to have a great week. And if you got any questions about any of this stuff, you can call Carrie, or you can talk to us, or we're out there or Anthony, or we're always out there to help you guys out. Okay.
Thanks. Can you hear me,
Yes, ma'am.
Alex? Oh, if you call or text me, I got a new agent for you to help you, grow your business.
Perfect.
I talked to somebody
Awesome.
yesterday.
Awesome. All right. Good news, Miss Deborah. All right, you guys.
Yay, for y'all.
Oh, I gotta give some signs out. I was gonna say some signs. All right. Who do we got left here? I'm gonna let me see if Helga's listening to this call. Helga, tell me one advantage of one piece of information that Joe was talking about, two pieces of information that Joe was saying that the appraisals were having a hard time with.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
For self-employed people, how to get
No,
that,
appraisers.
Oh, appraisers.
Yeah, Joe was saying appraisers were having a hard time with two things. What were they? Well, I mean, you said a lot of different things, but
That the agents don't put their pocket listings in there, which I'm gonna have a question, but I can ask that later.
Yeah.
And that we need to do the repairs up front, so the appraisers don't have to go back out a second time. It saves time and it saves my buyer the buyer some money.
Perfect. All right, you got two. You got like Century 21 sign just for that. A listing.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna
We
do
love
one more.
Helga.
All right. Bye.
You see the
Got her
German in
sign.
her?
She's out.
Helga is so just like straight to business. Well,
No.
nice talking.
I just say bye because I'm gonna mute myself again. I'm still watching. You better watch what you say, okay?
All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. And let's see anyone else here was listening. Shep asked Brianka a question.
All right, let's ask Brianka a question. All right, let's talk about taxes. So
Brianka, can you hear us?
what are the best expenses for an agent to deduct on their taxes that will not interfere with their income when trying to get a mortgage, Brianka? What's the best expense to take?
Brianka. All right, next person I can answer this gets it. Brianka, good. We're gonna give Brianka 5 seconds. 5.
Mileage.
Wait a second. Let me do the countdown here. 5, 4. Brianka, 3, 2, 1. Okay, go ahead. What is it?
Mileage.
Mileage, and then what else?
Home office.
Okay, actually, you did look like you have a good home office. That's a good one. All right, both of you guys
You
got.
like my home office?
Yeah, it looks good. Both of you guys got yard signs. You can just tell Katie or Bridget over here in the front. Okay. You guys have a good day.
Thanks. Y'all too.